Onganju. We are the middle-aged guys, and in this video, we're going to continue through our episodic reviews of the first season of Young Justice. Trying to continue on, and this particular video is going to be about Young Justice Season 1, Episode 17, which is entitled Disordered. Well, let me get all the introductions out of the way. I'm the Reverend.
The Theme here.
And I'm Grey Mouse 1.
Young Justice Season 1, Episode 17, Disordered, was originally aired out in November 11th, 2011. Just like it is with all of the other episodes that we've done so far. This particular episode is almost 6 years old, so there's not going to be any sort of spoiler warnings or anything like that, because we're pretty much going to cover a short synopsis, what we like about the video, what we like about the episode, what we didn't like about the episode, or if there was anything we would want to change in it, and also what we'd happen to see happen in the episode that we know serves as a setup or a reference for something that's going to happen in a future episode coming down the line. All right, let me get the synopsis out of the way. This particular one is pretty much starts straight off with the tail end of the previous episode, which was Failsafe, where the team is pretty much dealing with the trauma of going through a psychic virtual simulation where the whole mission that they were put in was supposed to fail. Everything was supposed to get worse and worse and worse, and that during that particular mission, they would see other teammates die and lose their lives, and to go ahead and try to ferret out how they would deal with that. It was supposed to be a pretty benign simulation, but because of Miss Martian's emotional attachment to everybody else, she turned the whole simulation very dangerous, where the members of the team, when they died, their physical bodies were actually going into some sort of psychic coma in the real world. So this particular episode picks up right afterwards, and we see all of the individual members of the team going in for therapy, basically trauma therapy, with Black Canary. First person who goes in is Superboy, and he's not having much of this. He's not like he's been on the Earth long enough to sit there and fully be able to communicate his feelings and how he should deal with the trauma is anyways. So he promptly leaves the cave with the help of Sphere, with Wolf in tow. This is where he finds out that Sphere can actually change into something that they dub the Super Cycle, and he flies off. Okay, during the time that all of the other members are at the cave and they're getting their therapy sessions, all of them to different results and different stories and different reactions, Superboy runs into the Forever People. Basically, the Forever People, they're members of the New Gods from Genesis, and they are coming to Earth to go ahead and reclaim technology that has been stolen off their planet. The Sphere is one of them, and they go ahead and they run into Superboy and they demand that he hand back the Sphere. Superboy is able to promptly explain his position and everything, and then says, look, if you guys are looking for technology, I can go ahead and I can help you reclaim whatever technology or everything. In his mind, it's like, fuck, I ran into some more aliens. My experiences as of late with aliens has not been very good. Let me just go ahead and take care of them and get them the fuck off this planet, so I can go ahead and I can go back to being really close to the Henry Cavill version of Superman. All right. So what happens is that it turns out that all of this technology that's being boomed in, like the Genosphere, is coming from New Genesis and Apocalypse, and that they find that the inner gang, run by Ugly and Whisper, are running around with all of this technology, planning to go ahead and rob banks and other things. And they find out that also, after pretty much questioning Whisper, that Desaad, one of Darkseid's right-hand men, is supplying all of this technology to all of these crooks on Earth. So, after a little bit of a battle with the folks in the inner gang and a face-off with Desaad, which finds the Forever People forming Infinity Man, and then Infinity Man getting possessed, and then Superboy riding on top of Infinity Man's head in the super cycle, looking pretty much like he's piloting either Voltron or one of the Combiner Transformers, to go ahead and reclaim all the technology and banish pretty much the sod back to Apocalypse. Okay, after all of that finishes up, Superboy comes back to the cave. He finally gives in. He finally realizes, okay, what was the big trauma? What was the big thing that was uncovered with him throughout the whole Failsafe episode? And he sits down and he has his heart to heart, and that's pretty much everything, where everything closes out. Okay, a little vague in the middle there, but I don't want to go ahead and go into the details because these are big talking points that we're going to jump into. All right, so let's jump into the first thing that we always cover, guys. What in this episode did you like? Floor is open.
Everyone's weaknesses was basically exposed, except maybe with a couple of people here within the team. Yes, these are teenagers, or in Superboy's case, you know, barely like a year old or whatever. But it really went to the point where the people that were traumatized, they were traumatized for a different amount of reasons, and I totally like that. I like the way that it wasn't a broken record as far as their weaknesses. Some of them were petty, but some of them were really damaging. Gray Mouse, what about you? What did you like about the episode?
A lot of times we forget that Young Justice are teenagers, and this really showed through here. You know, after that mission, Failsafe, I mean, I can understand, you know, where they're coming from and what kind of state of mind that they were in. So I like that. I liked how the continuity between the previous episode and this episode. I mean, it literally dropped us right into it again. You know, I like that, and I really like some of the way the animation was done, especially when Superboy and Wolf found out that Spear can into the what do you call it? The
super cycle.
Super cycle. That was hilarious, and then also the interaction between when they met. What are those guys called again? The
Forever People.
The Forever People.
The Forever People.
Yeah.
Like, there's no animal on Earth that my name, you know, that I could relate to except for Wolf. And then Wolf was like, "That's my name," you know, kind of that interaction. I really like that. A lot of character.
This is Wolf.
He's Wolf. And then
I shall be Bear.
And that was good, and I really thought that the storyline really dove deeper into growing up, being a teenager, having, you know, dealing with emotions that this job will come with, you know.
Yeah, I think with this particular one, I've said in previous reviews that we've done that I really enjoy great character interaction. And where it seems like the really mundane scenes where they're just kind of sitting around talking, with a lot of people, that would usually be really boring. All right. But when it comes to this particular episode, I thoroughly enjoyed the fact that, you know, not only did each and every one of the team members go into how they reacted to the Failsafe episode, but each and every one of them, it all affected them differently. Like, you know, when it came to Artemis and Kid Flash, okay, Artemis, you know, her whole thing was like, you know, I really didn't have a chance to be all that traumatized with everything that went on. You got to remember, I was first one who died, and I became Coma Girl, and then she kind of lets it slip that, you know, and besides, if anything bothered me, I don't want anybody to know, especially Wally, and then Black Canary picks up on it right away and calls her out on it. So it you know, on the flip side, you know, Wally is trying to play it off like he's not fazed at all with anything, but when Black Canary points out that, you know, he was most upset when Artemis died, he completely loses his facade for a moment, you know, and it affects all of the characters differently. Aqualad feels like giving up the leadership position, but then comes to the conclusion that he can't because nobody else is qualified, nobody else is ready to go ahead and do it. Miss Martian loses like almost all confidence in her powers and everything, which seems to be a little bit of an issue with her, especially not only in previous episodes, but it'll continue to be an issue with her episodes going forward. Robin comes to a huge conclusion that there are certain things that he does not want to do, okay, when Robin it comes to being a hero.
Robin was one of my favorites when it came to breaking down, because he was even like, you can't tell Batman. I mean, he was very elaborate about that. And Black Canary was like, nothing leaves this room. And
let's get into the details of that one on part 3, because we are gonna get to that. All right, and then lastly, when it came to Superboy, when he finally comes around to it, it's very revelatory. The type of thing, the one thing that ends up bothering him at the end is, even though when you think about it, it may not seem like a big deal. All right. But it's actually one of the more shocking things that happens during the episode. All right. But that's not to say that the episode is perfect. Guys, was there anything about this episode that you didn't like, or was there anything that you would change if you had a choice?
You kind of pointed out with Kid Flash barely showing any emotions at all about this. I mean, fuck. Your friends and your love interests died right in front of you, and you didn't express that. I mean, yes, he's Kid Flash and he was supposed to just wave it off, and maybe he has a big, huge crush on fucking Black Canary. But still, that would be the one change that I would actually make throughout the whole episode, if any. Gray Mouse, what about you? What didn't you like, or what would you change out of the episode?
I was satisfied.
I will have to say that I gotta agree with Gray Mouse. This is one of the ones where it's really hard for me to even nitpick at. Like I said, I really enjoyed real good character interaction, and with this particular episode, it's very revelatory, and it's also a turning point episode where it's like, okay, what exactly will break these kids? We've kind of figured it out now. Okay, what exactly will break these kids when it comes to what happens to them out in the field when they're acting as a team? And it didn't come through like it was shown in a huge action sequence in the Failsafe, but the effects of all of that stuff really doesn't come out until you actually have them sitting down just pouring their hearts out. All right, that actually works really well for what we're going to cover next. What did you see in this particular episode that acts as a setup or for a future storyline or future episodes coming up, guys?
Basically, when you brought in the Forever people, you brought in New Genesis and you brought in Darkseid. Period. That's just the way that is.
Yep.
And you're gonna. I mean, that was hinted at anyway. On a couple of episodes back.
Yeah.
When we saw the spear get Bloomtooth in, we was like, oh shit. Oh, okay, right. But that really cinched that.
Yep. What about you, Gray Mouse? What did you pick up that's a reference or a setup point for something coming down the pipe?
Well, I caught during the interview with Miss Martian that she is not what she seems to be. She's actually a white Martian, and that's what she thought that she turned into because of her grief. But then she just realized that she just turned to a Caucasian. So, but the thing is, though, we didn't really see what Black Canary saw. I mean, it very well she could have went to her natural form. So that definitely, there's going to be more storyline further into as we go into the season. That was definitely a nod to future episodes. And then, like you said, the relationship between what's her name? I can't think of her name right now, man.
Artemis and Kid Flash.
And Kid Flash, yeah.
Well, I a lot of things were set up with this particular one, especially during the counseling sessions. We noticed, like I said, with Artemis and Kid Flash, there's a huge growing emotional concern that they have for each other. It's definitely there, and it's not even that deep underneath the surface now. Mm-hmm. Aqualad, we see that he's having a hard time coping with being leader, and that right now he's pretty much resigned to doing this until Robin is ready to go ahead and step up and take the mantle of him. Okay, he knows that Robin is going to go ahead and become leader of the team in the future. With Miss Martian, her whole thing with like doubting herself and the lack of confidence is something that continues to plague her all the way throughout the series, all right? Especially even deep into the second season, all right? Where the issue with her is either she's way too confident in how she's handling things, where she doesn't think and she just does things and, bad things happen, or she has no confidence in her powers at all, where it almost comes to the point where she can't do anything, okay? And then with Superboy, when he sat down and he sits there and says, look, I saw everybody in the team die. I saw Wolf get disintegrated before my eyes. He's like, everybody else is walking around with all this grief, going through what happened. He's like, but me, he's like, the only thing I felt at that time was that I was at peace. He's like, I was finally Superman, and he's like, how can I explain to anybody else, in the team that while everybody was sorry and, was grief-stricken that they had seen their friends die, that I was completely happy and fine with what was going on. Extremely revelatory with the way that he handles things. And like I said, it also illustrates in many points right there, the type of things, that the type of thing that it would take in order to break the members of the team, Was there anything else we wanted to go ahead and throw on the pile as far as what we liked? Anything else that we wanted to talk about that was noteworthy in the episode or anything like that, guys?
It's funny because there was the Aqualad thing of not wanting he wants to pass on leader, but Robin doesn't want it now. Well,
that was actually the thing that I said to go ahead and hold for the third point. With Robin, this is one of the things that it's like, okay, we already kind of, if anybody's who's familiar with the Robin character from the comic books or, even just the animated series and everything, we know where Dick Grayson ends up, all right? But when he sits down and he talks about, okay, I'm completely fine with the hero thing. He's like, but when it comes to being the Batman, at one time I wanted to. Mm-hmm. He's like, but after seeing what it takes in order to be the Batman, the guy who's so dedicated that he could give up everything, including his friends and family, just to make sure that the mission gets done, he's like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to do that anymore. He's like, I'm fine with being a hero. I don't want to be the Batman. Okay? Which is, as far as it goes, it's one of those things where it's like, wow, that's actually really revelatory. I mean, there are other ways that it's been explained within like versions of the comic books and everything else, but this is one of those things where it was like, okay, this is actually a pretty solid reason, okay, and it didn't involve involving somebody's girlfriend or anything like that. So Great Mouse, you had something that you wanted to throw out there really quick?
Yeah, at the beginning of the episode, it was very interesting. Martian Manhunter kind of made a comment about, to the Batman. So, and he brushed it off, but it was still a comment nonetheless. I could tell that it affected him.
Yeah. You're talking about when Batman walks into the cave and asks, how's the team doing?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, they're all pretty traumatized. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty telling.
So I'm kind of wondering if how much Martian Manhunter really knows about Batman, as in like everything. I'm talking about like, because he kind of gave a hint that he knew the trauma that Batman's been through, you know, from the beginning of Batman, so to speak. So I was like, how much does Martian Manhunter really know about Batman? So, I mean, you know that he's Bruce Wayne?
Well, I know that.
Like it.
Well, I know that in this particular version of the Justice League, he's one of the core members, one of the original 7. I know all of the original 7 pretty much know. Mm-hmm. They share their secret identities and everything. They know who's who.
Requirement. Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, that was also kind of.
I mean, that was to me that was a major strike. I was like, damn, you know, I was like that's pretty deep if you know the backstory. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and it's part of what makes this one of my favorite episodes because there are a lot of layers to go ahead and peel away. Let's wrap it up with what we normally do. On a scale of yay, nay, or meh, what would you rate this particular episode? Guys, floor is open.
Hey, come on. I don't think it's any surprise. This one gets a yay. With the action that they produced with the Forever People and Superboy and, you know, Whisper and freaking Ugly and, yeah, fine. Then with all the traumatized kids airing out their grievances, well, for the most part, not grievances, but airing out their dirty laundry and saying how they really felt. Yeah, character really, really shined in this episode for each and every one that was there. So, yeah, it's a yay for me.
What about you, Grey Mouse? Yay, nay, or meh?
Yeah, this is a good one. So I'd say yay. Pretty much for the same, excuse me, for the same reason that that Theme said, you know. The storyline was excellent. It gave a little bit of backstory, a little bit of in-between story, and a little bit of future story. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, no surprise on my part right here. It's a yay also. Yays all around for everybody. Like I said, you know, previously multiple times, I enjoy really, really good character interaction. You know, this particular one, it's not overt character interaction where you have friends wrestling around or fighting over things or anything like that. They really spent a lot of time to go ahead and peel away the layers on each and every one of the team members to really, like I said, really kind of expose to everybody who's watching this, okay, if you want to find the breaking point of each of the team members, okay, what exactly would need to happen along the way to get these folks to go ahead and break and not want to do what they're doing currently right now. Well, this is a prime example, you know, have certain people die, okay, or have certain characters live with the consequences of doing certain things, all right, that go wrong. You know, that's the type of thing that would make these particular characters, you know, break and not want to do what they want, you know, not be a hero anymore, which, you know, that doesn't lend itself to a happy ending, all right, as far as the episode goes. But when it comes to, all right, look, these are real characters that I can go ahead and I can get invested into, that actually interest me, that'll actually make me want to go ahead and see more episodes. This episode right here is in the perfect place in the season, and it does exactly that. That's the reason why it's a great episode. All right. But what we really want to know, folks, is what did you think of season 1, episode 17 of Young Justice, entitled Disordered? We really want to know. You can tell us by leaving us a comment below. In fact, you can give us feedback on our actual review itself, these particular videos. We enjoy reading those comments. If you really like what we're doing here, I encourage you to smash on that like button. And if you want to stick around and, you know, want to see whenever we go ahead and drop a new video, whether or not it's talking about Young Justice or video games or any other geeky stuff, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on those notifications. With that, all of our thoughts on this review for Young Justice Season 1, Episode 17, entitled Disorder, ends right here. I'm the Reverend.
The Theme here.
And I'm Grey Mouse 1.
All forms of entertainment has the right to exist, even if you don't like it. Credits.